Hey guys, so, if you follow my personal work, then you know that I focus on portraiture of all kinds. However, the new set of actions that I made this summer and just recently released, we're going to link it somewhere here, the Workflow CL Pro. This set of actions is so powerful for so much, well beyond portraiture, especially for anything that has a lot of different varying color. Yeah, a portrait can be that way. It can have a wild outfit of all kinds of colors, or it can be in a background of a lot of color. But on a shot like this, with these beautiful buildings painted like this in Mexico, this is not my shot. I found this online. It's super low res. It's just a screenshot, but it still lets me kind of illustrate the power of controlling these ranges, these color ranges, and the luminosity ranges as well, with CL Pro. So I wanted to show a few examples on this image because it was so fun to look at. So we do have a full video on these actions, but this is just kind of an augment kind of thing to show you some other ideas. So for example, let's go to the Chroma Luma Layers Adjust. I'm going to run that real quick. And let's take a look at the chroma on this. This is great. Hold down Alt or Option and click the little eyeball. Look at that. That is so great. I mean, look how it just extracted all the colors. I love that. It looks so cool on that. And then, of course, this is the lumen information. And if you modify them independently, so here's a curves, right? So I can maybe add some contrast to there. Look at that. Beautiful. See that? Adding contrast without messing those beautiful colors. I haven't, added strange trace colors or anything like that. It's just beautiful. And then, of course, I happen to have hue and saturation on top, only affecting the chroma because it's on color blend mode, of course. Could have clipped it down too, and I can change the saturation up or down. See that? Now, of course, I am on the regular saturation, so I can boost it too far. See that? You can really see that in these gray windows and stuff. There's just too much color happening there. So let's go ahead and delete that. If you do want a lot of color boost, but don't want to mess with the non-saturated areas, that's why I have the NBP Micro Saturation Control. Run that. Let's explain what happens there real quick because it's such a perfect example. So for one, it has the vibrance adjustment layer, which has a saturation slider on here as well, but it's slightly different in how it works. But we also have it with a saturation mask made from chroma data. We're not going to have luminosity information get in the way, and anything that's neutral won't even be part of the mask at all. So it's really quite good. And of course, variations in between. And it's on color blend mode. So that vibrance is going to be so subtle. Watch this. If I peg the vibrance, you can barely see it, but just enough. Okay, let's put the vibrance back to 0. What happens if I peg saturation? Look at that. Boom, 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 boom. Now, I don't know what the video is looking like, but to my eye, this is a little too strong, but I like the idea that I can control that without ruining the things that are neutral. Remember I mentioned the windows earlier right here? Look at that. We're just popping the color. So let's say, realistically, I wanted something like this. There you go. Look at that pop of color. Now, granted, you can take the hue and saturation adjustment layer and put it on color blend mode and get a similar result. But this is micro control, so you can really dial in exactly the amount of saturation that you want. And of course, the vibrance is so subtle, the way this is set up, it's going to be hard to see, but sometimes it's exactly what you need. So try it out. Try that specific little mask out in that little setup because it can really make a big difference for you. Now, let's go, for example, how about the 60-degree hue adjustments? And the way that works, got to start from the background layer. The way that one works is it breaks up the image, it decomposes it into just masks, okay, that have the 6 main hue angles. So it's going to be magenta, blue, cyan, green, yellow, and red. And as you can see by the mask, if I hold down Alt or Option, there are the reds, the yellows, the greens, cyans, blues, and magentas. And they're all created with, again, chroma data. Now, at the moment, every single one of these folders with the different color ranges has a curves in it. That's just a default to get started, so you can do whatever you want to do with it. But you can also add other, adjustment layers in here. So let's add, look at that. See, I can control just the vibrance or saturation of the red just by putting it in that folder. And if I want to go to like the blues, maybe the blues I can add, I'm not sure what. How about another curve? Let's darken the blues. There we go. You know what? I can even go to the RGB curves and grade the blues a little bit with a little bit of a blue push. Look at that. See that? And it's just a matter of quickly splitting the image into, using chroma, into the 6 main hue angles. And then you can put whatever adjustment layers are needed for each one. Yeah, you can put something on top of all of them, on top of the layer stack to modify the whole image. But here you can control it very detailed. If for some reason you want the yellows to have more contrast, or less contrast, you can do that right here. See that? Very, very subtle. But when you're working an image like this, the colors sometimes respond differently. So you might want the oranges to do a certain thing, the greens to do another. This is a perfect layer stack for that. Very cool. Finally, I want to show you 60-degree hue plus tri-range HSB replace. Here again, please start from a background layer or a stamped layer. Let's let that finish. Just a little bit of a process here. There we go. Now we have this huge layer stack we've mentioned in the overview video about the actions. Don't get intimidated by this. You can always close the folder and relax, okay? But this has everything really separated. So if you look at the mask, hold down Alt or Option and click the eyeball next to like the red folder. There's the red, okay? And then I can look at the yellows and I can look at the greens and cyans and the blues and the magentas. And of course we have also the shadows. We have the midtones, and then we have the highlights. So the highlights can't necessarily be viewed on their own. It's just a technical reason about how the blending works. However, you can modify it. So if I double click the solid color where the highlights are, I can replace them with black or red. So that you want to be subtle about it, of course. But if you need to add a little bit, let's put it on white. You want to add like a little bit of a sky blue, very, very subtle. You can just dial in the color that you want. You don't have to worry about other adjustment layers. Same goes for everything else. So if I go to my reds, I can literally choose any hue that I want to change the reds. I can just slide around until I find something that looks cool. More realistically on this shot, what I may do is there's the reds. What I may do is just adjust it until I feel like it works. Maybe I want the reds a little more orange. Yeah, a little more orange like that. Instead of pure red, I don't know. But you can just dial in exactly what you want. Or you can grade the entire thing. Here are the midtones, right? Let's go to like a purple. And we're going to put a little bit of a mid-tone of purple across the entire image. See that? Now we've done a certain vibe. Or blue. Or green. Or orange. You see that? We can just transform an image. Not just with random, color grades and hope and with a bunch of endless list of actions. But we dial in exactly what we want. And like I said, as a reminder, we covered it in the overview video. If you find a look that you like and you go, oh, this is cool, you can close the folder out. Yes, it's an intimidating stack, but you can close the folder out, leave it alone, and continue on with your workflow. Or you can flatten, to a new layer. That's going to be Shift, Option, Command E or Shift, Alt, Control E. Flatten to a new layer. Keep this folder tucked away in case you change your mind on something, and then keep working. So when it comes to controlling colors like this, it's very, very exciting for me. And I'm really getting so much feedback from my landscape photographers, nature photographers, architectural photographers. They're just loving this and they're feeling like NBP is providing something for them beyond just portraits. And I'm very excited to hear that as well. So there's all kinds of other tools on here. I welcome you to check out the overview video so you can see how it works. But I just really, really am having a lot of fun with all these decompositions when it comes to these multiple colored images. Now you can use it for subtle things just to give nice, beautiful grades exactly like you want. But when you have such a beautiful shot like this, when you want to control those details quickly and easily right there on the layers window, well, that's where the Workflow CL Pro really, really shines. And again, super proud to hear that so many photographers are finding it so useful.